Guys, so this is a quick little tip. I just recently had issues with water in my fuel and also rust in the fuel. The gas tank has been dropped 4 years ago, and I cleaned it out when I did my leaf springs and I fixed the frame and I did the body mounts on this Jeep. So the tank was clean. There was nothing in it, no rust, no water, and on top of that the tank is plastic. There's no way for rust to get in there other than the fuel lines, which is weird because the fuel lines are constantly getting fresh fuel going through them. There's no water going through them. I drive like 10,000 miles a year on this vehicle, so it doesn't sit. There's really no opportunity for water to like build up in the tank, unless it's from miraculously condensation or I have some kind of leak somewhere that air is getting into the tank. I have no idea. I don't know, but people claim that can cause moisture in your tank. I don't believe it, especially when you drive as much as I do. You know what I mean? 10,000 miles is a lot for a classic car, and there's just no way, in my opinion, for water to build up in a tank like that. So I had, when I emptied the tank just recently to get all of that out, I had like 5 coffee containers on the ground to pour the last bit of the tank out, and all the coffee containers were full of thick, like, not thick, but just like brown water. It was all rust. When I took off the fuel filter on this Jeep, like, I want to say 7 or 8 months ago, and I cut it in half, I noticed the fuel filter had like rust on it. So somehow rusty debris is getting into my tank, and when I picked up my J10 like 4 months ago, the Jeep was bucking and stalling, and it wasn't operating properly. It was pre-detonating, and I must have had water in the tank back then as well. I'm surprised I managed to get home, because I drove fine home. It just getting to the place to pick up the Jeep, it didn't drive right. So I noticed when I first moved here, and I started using the 93 octane in the local gas station, I started pre-detonating. Like, my Jeep would pre-detonate, both of them would. So I suspect it's that gas station, and to be honest, they just replaced their tanks like a month ago, or 2 months ago. So it's kind of you put 2 and 2 together. Their tanks were 50 years old or whatever. They just replaced them. I just moved here, and then as soon as I move here, I start having issues, and then I get water and rust in my tank. So clearly those tanks caused issues with my Jeeps. There's no way I can prove it, but if you put 2 and 2 together, it kind of makes sense. And it really pisses me off, to be honest. If I didn't know how to work on my cars, this would be a really expensive fix. And to be honest, they should be footing the bill. But I wanted to show you guys a little trick here. Before I dropped the tank, I siphoned like 20 gallons of gas out, because when I had 20 gallons of gas, it was doing this. So I decided to siphon it out, thinking that would help, which it didn't. When you siphon the tank out, you do get some debris, and you do get some water out, depending on how far you stick the hose in the tank. And I filled it up with fresh gas, and it was still doing it, so I had to siphon like 15 gallons of gas out again. Now, you don't really want to use that gas again because it has debris and water in it, but there is a way to get around that. The gas is still fresh, so why would you want to waste all of that gas? You know what I mean? So a neat way to do this is, and this is what I just did, is you just get a clear container, because water is heavier than gasoline. So you get a clear container like this little apple juice container, and you get your funnel and you put it inside the container, and then you take your gas can very carefully after it's been sitting for a while, and you just carefully pour it. If I can do this one-handed. Now I want to show you something. Because it's been settling and you carefully pour it, the gas is normal colored. There's no water, there's no debris, there's nothing in this gasoline. So this gas can be put back in the tank. Now what you don't want to do is you don't want to take your gas can with the actual spigot thingy on there, and you don't want to tilt it completely upside down. And the reason why is because all the debris that's settled in there and all the water that's settled in the gas can will be tilted completely upside down, and because water is heavier than gas, it'll actually get poured into your gas tank. So this is for, like, let's say you have gas that's been sitting in your garage. You want to get rid of it, so you want to throw it in your car or something like that. That's fine, but you got to get the gas on the top, not the water on the bottom. So you take off your cap and you pour the gas in there gently into a clear container like this, so you get the fresh gas on the top and you leave the water on the bottom. Now let me show you what happens when I like shake this thing up, and then I start to pour it in here. So this is kind of like it would be, if I was pouring it in there with a little spigot. Do you remember how clear the gas was? It was like a really lime, kind of a clear color. Now look at it. It's cloudy. It's got like that rusty debris inside of it. That's not something you want to put in your tank. The first pour that I did is fine. Do you see what I'm saying, guys? So the first pour that was like, a quarter of this bottle was perfectly clean, clear gas that can be used. But the second pour, because I shook it all up, just to show you what it's like, if I tilt the can completely upside down, it gets all the debris in the can into your gas tank. So, that's a quick little fix if you want to save your gas and you want to keep using it, because like I had 30 gallons of gas in my gas cans that was perfectly fine gas. It just had debris in the bottom of it, or it had water in the bottom of it because I siphoned it out of my tank. So you can still use the gas. Another neat little trick is you can get like a paint filter, for like paint or whatever. I don't know if it'll melt the filter or not, but you could try that as well. But the best thing to do is let your gas can sit for a while so everything settles. Pick it up gently and pour it into your container or your bottle, so all you get is the clean gas on the top, and then you leave the other shit on the bottom. You just throw that like in your lawnmower or something like that. So that's what I did, and I put about 30 gallons of gas back in my tank doing this. I've already driven like 150 miles. There was no water, obviously, because it was a clear bottle and I checked. So I'm not about to waste gas, because that stuff is like gold these days. It's like $4.30 a gallon. So, but that's what you do for water that's been contaminated, or gas that's been contaminated with water, or contaminated with like particles that will settle onto the bottom, if that makes sense. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helps some people. I know a lot of people will say, well, $150 in gas is not worth, trying to save to put back in your car because it'll destroy your engine, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's not true. I just proved it right here, where I gently poured it into the container, and you saw it was like a perfectly clear, slightly yellow, that's normal color for gasoline. And then I shaked the can, and then I poured it in there, and the shaking is like I'm tipping it completely upside down with a normal spigot, and that shows you all the debris that was actually on the bottom of it. So the top gas is good, the bottom gas is not. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Sorry for a 10-minute video. I kind of wanted to make it a short video, but I had to explain it properly to you guys, so hopefully this helps somebody. Thank you.